Look in a mirror. You see a face. You see your eyes. You see a story held within them. What you give to the world comes back to you. This is not magic. It is not a wish. It is not a dream. It is a law. There was a man who walked through the streets of a busy city. He felt tired all the time. He felt small, as if the towering buildings were pressing in on him, making him insignificant. The rushing crowds pressed in as well. He moved through the throngs of people like a ghost, silent and unseen. He spoke very little, and when he did, his voice was barely a whisper. People passed him by without a glance. He would hold a door open. No one would say thank you. He would try to make eye contact. Everyone's gaze was directed elsewhere. He was a shadow moving among solid forms, an unheard note in a loud symphony. The man came to a conclusion about his life. He decided that the world was a cold and uncaring place. He believed that no one truly saw anyone else. Everyone was locked away in their own private bubble of concerns. This belief became a heavy coat that he wore every single day. It protected him from the pain of being ignored, but it also insulated him from any possibility of connection. His shoulders were slumped under the weight of this coat. His eyes were downcast, studying the cracks in the pavement as if they held the answers he was looking for. The city, with all its life and energy, felt like a desert to him. His days followed a predictable pattern. He would wake up with a feeling of dread. He would commute to work, feeling invisible on the train. At his job, he would complete his tasks efficiently but silently, avoiding interaction whenever possible. His colleagues saw him as distant, perhaps even aloof. They did not know the loneliness he carried. They only saw the wall he had built around himself. At the end of the day, he would walk home, the city lights blurring into a meaningless smear of color. The man had accepted this reality. He had stopped hoping for anything different. One morning, as the man was walking his usual path, something broke his routine. He saw a small brown bird on the cold ground. It was huddled near the base of a building, its feathers ruffled, its body trembling. The bird could not fly. It tried to flutter its wings, but one of them seemed to be injured. Crowds of people rushed past, their hurried footsteps echoing on the pavement. No one else seemed to notice the tiny creature so vulnerable and out of place in the concrete landscape. For a moment, the man was about to walk on to remain the ghost he had always been. But something stopped him. He saw a reflection of his own smallness in the fragile bird. He knelt down, his movements slow and careful so as not to frighten it. He gently picked the bird up. It was so light, a delicate weight in his palm. He could feel its tiny heart beating rapidly against his skin. He cupped his other hand over it, creating a small, warm shelter. He held it close to his chest. He spoke to it in soft, comforting words, the kind of words he had not used in a very long time. As he held the bird, he felt a small, unfamiliar warmth begin to grow inside him. It was a flicker of light in the gray emptiness he had grown so accustomed to. He was no longer a ghost. He was a guardian. The man took the bird home to his small apartment. He carefully placed it in a shoebox lined with soft tissues, creating a makeshift nest. He found a dropper and gave it a few drops of water. He left a small dish of seeds nearby. He did not know if the bird would survive, but he knew he had to try. He sat and watched it for a long time, his focus entirely on this small life. The city outside, with its noise and its indifference, faded away. In that quiet room, there was only him and the bird. He was giving something without expecting anything in return: his care, his attention, his warmth. The next morning, the man awoke to a faint chirping sound. The bird was standing, its wings fluttering with more strength. He took the box to his open window. After a moment of hesitation, the bird flew out. It did not fly far. It landed on the ledge of his window and turned back to look at him. Then, it sang a clear, beautiful song. The simple melody filled the morning air. It was a sound of pure life, a thank you that needed no words. The man stood there, listening, and for the first time in years, a genuine smile touched his lips. He had sent out a small act of kindness, and it had returned to him as a song. The bird's song was a small event, but it was like a stone dropped into a still pond. A neighbor in the building across the way, who was having a difficult morning, heard the clear, sweet sound. It made him pause. He looked out his window and saw the man standing by his own, smiling at the little bird. The neighbor, moved by this simple, peaceful scene, instinctively smiled back and gave a small wave. The man, surprised, waved back. It was a small connection, a brief acknowledgement, but it was more than he had experienced in a very long time. Later that day, as the man was walking to the corner store, he saw a child pointing up at the sky. The bird had flown to a nearby tree and was singing again. The child laughed with delight. The child's mother looked at the man, and she shared a warm smile with him. The laugh, the smile, they were like gentle echoes of the song. As he continued on his way, he was so distracted by this newfound lightness that he fumbled with his grocery bag, dropping an apple. Before he could even bend down, a woman walking by quickly picked it up for him. "Here you go," she said kindly. The day continued in this new way. A man he passed on the street, someone he had seen 100 times before in silence, actually said, "Hello." The barista at the coffee shop, who usually just took his order with a blank expression, asked him how his day was going. Nothing in the city had actually changed. The buildings were still tall. The crowds were still rushing. But the man's experience of the city was completely different. It no longer felt cold or indifferent. It felt, responsive. It felt alive with small possibilities for connection. It was as if the city itself was smiling back at him. The man did not suddenly become a different person. He was still quiet. He was still gentle. He had not changed who he was. He had only changed one small thing. He had given care. He had sent out a small, selfless warmth into the world when he helped the bird. That warmth, that gentle energy, had started a chain of reactions. It came back to him in the form of a wave, a child's laugh, a helping hand, and a simple hello. His small light had found its way back to him, multiplied. This is a simple truth. Energy moves like a river. It leaves its source and travels, but it always returns to the great sea. It bends and it curves, but it always, eventually, comes home. Think of your mood, your inner emotional state, as a radio. In every moment, you are the one who chooses the station. You have the power to turn the dial. You can pick a song of anger. The frequency you broadcast will be harsh and discordant. Or you can pick a song of gratitude. The melody will be soft and harmonious. The song you choose to play is not just for you. It radiates outward from you. Other people who are nearby can hear the tune. They may not know the words, but they feel the rhythm. They will join in your dance, or they will turn and walk away, seeking a different station. Our thoughts act in a similar way. They are like seeds. You plant a single thought in the garden of your mind, a thought of doubt, or a thought of hope. You water that seed with your attention. In time, that seed sprouts and grows into an action. The action might be a sharp word, or it might be a gentle touch. That touch or word changes that person's energy, even in a small way. And that change will eventually find its way back to you. This is the simple, inescapable law of energy. It's not punishment or reward. It's a mechanism as real as gravity. Emotions are not private possessions you can lock away. They are contagious. They travel. They move from one heart to another, often without a single word. Your thoughts are like a light that you shine into a darkened room. Your feelings are like a sound, a single note that travels through the air. Both travel outward from you. They touch the world. In their own time and their own way, they find their way back. This is a fundamental principle of existence, a hidden law that governs the flow of life. It does not operate on grand gestures alone. It is present in the smallest of moments. It is present in the quietest of intentions. The energy you project into the universe is a boomerang. It completes its arc and returns to its source. It is an echo in a vast canyon. The sound you send out is the sound you will hear again. The law is not a judge. The law is a mirror, reflecting what is. Approach it with a closed fist. You will see a fist reflected back. Approach it with an open hand. You will find an open hand reaching toward you. This is not a transaction. This is not a bargain you strike with fate. It is the natural, undeniable flow of energy. At the end of a long day, before you sleep, find a quiet moment. Sit with your hands resting in your lap. Feel the gentle rhythm of your own breath, the rise and fall of your chest. And then ask yourself a simple question. What did I send out into the world today? Be honest with yourself, but also be kind. This is not a test. It is an awareness. The world does not give you what you want. The world gives you what you are. Your experiences are the mirror showing you the face of your own energy. This is the hidden laws.